Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors for the Masses, and today is a day filled with new power and excitement and a whole lot of Voodoo V8. Welcome to the Mustang GT350. January the 27th will see an epic birthday, a 53rd birthday to be precise, as in 1965, on January the 27th, they launched the very first Mustang GT350. Except back then it was running a 306 brake horsepower V8. Of course it was a massive hit, so no wonder it's back for the new S550 shape. Mustangs are very much a big deal in my life, from tattoos to models to owning two myself. A 2006 V8 and a 1971 Mach 1, but we are stepping up a notch with today's incarnation. Now, the styling of the S550 has always been a camp divider. I myself have never really been a fan of the S550 shape, apart from the saline version. But this GT350 seems to have just the right amount of beef about it. And I think one thing that makes that difference is this front end. Now, on the 2015 standard GT, it's quite high, but they've really lowered it by about ½ an inch on this GT350, and I think that makes one hell of a difference. Something that they've rolled over onto the 2018 model. There are of course other changes. These splitters at the front and the side valance and the scoop in the fender makes one hell of a difference. Of course that means that this whole bonnet changes, and you can see the shape of the front is very mean looking. And something that the camera struggles to pick up, and that's the lines and the shape of this whole car. It's just so muscular looking. Gorgeous. Now under here, it doesn't look very special, especially considering Ford still haven't got rid of these things. But in here is the 5.2 litre flat plane Voodoo V8, and this was especially designed for this car. That's what makes this so special. As standard, it puts out 526 brake horsepower and 429 pounds-foot of torque, and they're hand built with the builder's signature on the side, and that's very special indeed. 60 mph comes up in just 4 seconds, and it has a top speed of 169, although some people say it can reach 180, and I very much believe it. Of course, the problem with a lot of these is that they're quite tame sounding, if you want them to be, but with this car you get an exhaust mode, so you can put it in loud, like so. So when you start the car, it's always in normal mode. And then you can switch it into loud mode. Very nice indeed. surely anyone would just want to keep it in loud mode all the time. I mean, why wouldn't you? It sounds like an angry, growling panther. So let's take this monster out for a drive. Now, even before I touch that accelerator, I already know this car's going to want to rip my head off and scream down the bloody stump that still remains. But let's take it anyway. Of course, this is where you push that loud button. Here we go. Once you get behind the wheel, it's a fantastic feeling. You know there's lots of power up front and you can just feel it underneath your foot. It's a very comfortable place to be. The seat is very figure hugging and very soft. It's not leather, it's like Alcantara, but it's very luxurious. If you want to drive normally, you can just stick it in 6th gear and cruise along quite happily. But of course, if you want to put your foot down, it has power, like so. You get a multi-function steering wheel so you can control all your stereo and your telephone on here, Bluetooth connectivity. Not that you'd really need to use it because you won't hear it anyway. Of course, unless you've got it in quiet mode. It does have a quiet mode, but to be honest, if this was mine, it'd be in loud mode all the time. Looking out over the bonnet, you've got that fantastic hump in the middle and a great view. Even though it's quite a short car, you've still got a great view around you, and this pillar is not intrusive at all. You've got tiny little mirrors but good visibility out the sides, and there's nothing better than looking out the mirror and seeing the hump of your rear wheel arch. The dashboard is quite simple. You've got an 8-inch screen in the middle which has your sat nav, and it's touch screen so you can do all your functions. You've got your rev counter and a speedometer that goes up to 200 miles an hour. Of course, being a Mustang, you don't get much in terms of gadgets. You've got 2 cup holders and a gear lever. Oh, an emergency brake, or e-brake as the Americans call it. And other than that, you don't really get much. Of course, you've got electric windows, you've got electric seats, you've got all the heating, heated seats, you know, the usual stuff that you find in most cars these days. You do get a flat bottom steering wheel, which is quite nice and racy, and it's a fantastic feel. Again, very soft and very luxurious for a Mustang. I would like to point out that as we've been driving, the average miles per gallon in this car today is 11.8, which is pretty normal for a GT350. But then again, you don't buy this car to be economical. You don't think, oh, but is it good on miles per gallon? Who cares? Because when you've got that under your foot, it doesn't really matter, does it? definitely feel it drawing you into the truck tracks that are on the road. 305s at the back, so they're going to be sitting nicely on the road if it's flat, but other than that you can feel it wobbling around because it's got obviously sport suspension as well. So the suspension has two setups. You've got normal or sport, and then you've got several drive options. Now on the mode button on the steering wheel here, you've got normal drive mode, sport mode, weather, which basically helps you out in the rain, track mode, which it says track use only, of course, and drag strip, which means it sets up the suspension nicely if you want to have a drag race. Of course you do. And then next to that is the line lock option. Now line lock obviously means you can do a nice burnout without dribbling around all over the place. It's part of the fun, isn't it? You've also got exhaust mode, so you can have normal, which is just quiet mode to help your neighbours out, or extremely loud. So at this stage I'd like to introduce the owner of this car, Keith.
Hello.
So Keith, tell us, what does this car have as standard over the normal GT?
Well, the GT has a 5.0 with a cross-plane crank. This has the 5.2 with the flat-plane crank.
Right.
And it also has the CNC ported heads, which add about 100 horsepower with the cams. And it has a Tremec transmission instead of the Chinese transmission that's in the GT.
Right.
And it has a oil cooler.
Yep.
And magnerized suspension. So it handles the bumps pretty well.
Yes, it certainly does. So what have you done to this car? Because obviously it's not standard. What have you done to it, and roughly how much have you spent doing it?
Well, I haven't done too much, but dial dynamic lights inside and outside, switchbacks, the Euro light conversion in the tail with the sequential light added into it by Adam Price.
Okay, so just for the English audience among us, please explain what switchbacks are.
The front turn signals,
Yep.
they're usually amber, but you put the switchbacks in there, they're white while you drive, and they're amber when you indicate.
Yes.
Yes.
Fantastic. So the sequential lights and the Euro lights, how much did you spend getting those done?
Well, the Euro lights themselves were about 650 pounds, which is about almost $900 US.
Okay.
And then to get the sequential, the legal sequential.
How does it feel being driven in your own car?
It's still fun. The legal sequential turn signals have to be amber all the way across.
Okay.
In this country. So with the Euro tail lights and the American controller in the tail in the trunk, it goes red, yellow, which isn't legal. So I had to have him cut it open and install LEDs, yellow LEDs. So when I indicate, it's amber.
Okay. So what else have you got to do to this car that you haven't done already?
Well, I do have a supercharger I'm thinking about putting on.
Oh, okay. And how much power will that add?
Should be about 650 to 700 at the wheels, I guess.
Nice.
Conservatively.
Okay. Anything else?
I have the Recaro seats for the GT350 that I put in here, and I have the R rear seat delete.
Okay. So can I ask, why did you buy a GT350 and not the GT350R?
Well, because every dealership in the States wants way over MSRP for the R.
Right.
So I could afford the R, but I can't afford it with the with the ADM added to it, because
And that's usually how much?
When they first came out, they were about double the price. So
Really?
yeah, so they were selling them for about $120,000, and now they're down to about 20 to anywhere from 15 to 20,000 over sticker.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm just going to pull over here, and perhaps you can take the wheel
All right.
and show me more confidently
Yeah.
what this car can do.
All right, no problem.
Oh. So at the moment, how much power would you say this car is running?
At the moment,
you were saying?
at the moment, it's pretty much stock. I mean, I just took the resonators out.
Yep.
It's rated at 526 and 430 at the wheel, at the crank. But I had a dyno, and it put out about 384 to the wheels and 390 torque, which comes to around 570 horsepower or so.
Okay.
And 450 foot-pounds, something like that.
Nice.
So it's a little underrated.
Yeah, but it's got plenty of go. I guess you do that a lot. So do you drive this as a Mustang should be driven, or do you drive it conservatively?
I drive it hard.
That's very good for me actually. I get extremely sick as a passenger in a car.
Yeah.
I haven't felt sick at all in this, and you're not driving it slowly or conservatively. Yeah. So that says a lot. That says a lot, that the handling is very precise. It's not wallowy, it doesn't flow about all over the place. It's really snappy and really on the ball. Really impressed with it.
I love these roundabouts.
These roundabouts are fantastic. Something you miss in America, I assume?
Yeah, there's not many.
It's a fantastic sound. Now, are you doing that, or is that something the car does?
No, it doesn't have auto rev, so
it doesn't have
I have to do it, yeah.
Okay.
There he is.
Usually, like I say, as a passenger, I'd be going, oh my God, we're gonna die! But I'm not. It actually feels really well planted on the road. You have so much confidence in what the car can do.
Yeah, man. It's a good car.
Are we asleep? Will we wake up? Is this a dream? I wish we could just let love set us free. Will someone please save the world that we're losing? Will someone please save the world that we're losing? You and me can save the world that we're losing. You and me can save the world that we're losing.
Despite this being a coupe, it's got quite a sizable boot all the way back here with fold down seats as well. So you can certainly get your shopping in, or pushchair, or anything else. There's certainly no excuse not to have children. And you can probably even get your golf bats in here as well. But what about stopping power? Well, on the back here you've got these huge discs with 4-piston calipers, equally matched by these ginormous wheels, 19-inch wheels with 305 rubber. At the front, equally sizable discs with 6-piston calipers and 295 rubber. Of course, it's not a small or light car. It weighs just over 2 tons and it's 4.78 meters long, 1.9 meters wide and 1.38 meters high. So let's get technical for a minute. Now, these cars do come with traction control and stability control and all the other stuff. And of course you get airbags, but this one has the knee airbag protection and the curtain airbags front and rear too. However, the standard UK Mustang only has 3 out of 5 stars in the Euro NCAP rating. And there isn't really much data available for this American version, and certainly not the GT350. So we're not quite sure how safe it is. But who cares? So let's talk about the prices of these. Well, these new are around 59 to 61,000 US dollars, which is around 43.5 to 45,000 pounds. However, to bring one into the UK, you've got to add about another 5 grand on top of that. And if you want the GT350R, maybe another 6 to 10 grand on top of that. The problem is in America, they're asking top dollar for these cars. And you have to ask yourself the big question, do I get this, the GT350R, or do I wait for the 2018 version? Now, the 2018 version is going to be pretty similar in price, but much more aggressive looking. And it does come with a couple of extra options, like the friendly neighbour mode, where you can start the car very quietly and not annoy your neighbours. And you also get 3 more paint options. They do that orange fury, a grey gunmetal colour and a blue. Orange fury for me. I think I might wait for the 2018 version. But I absolutely love this car. I love the way it feels, I love the way it drives, I love the way it sounds. It is absolutely epic. I know I'm biased because I'm a bit of a Mustang freak myself, but I am in love with the bonkersness of it. And there we have the Mustang GT350, and that brings us to the end of this episode of Motors for the Masses. Thank you very much for joining us. We'll be back next time with more trucks, bikes and cars. In fact, next week we've got part 6 of our Project Hybrid. And until then, ride and drive carefully, but have fun. See you later.